Picture this. You wake up, the sun is shining, and you decide, you were going to do something truly fantastic for your long-term health today.
Right. Start the day off strong.
Exactly. So you go into your kitchen, you grab a fresh, vibrant red beet, and you run it through your juicer. You pour that deep crimson liquid into a glass, take a sip, and you just feel incredibly proud of yourself.
Oh, yeah. You feel like a health guru.
I mean, you're fueling your heart, you're cleansing your liver, and you're setting up your cellular energy for the entire day. It's like the ultimate healthy morning habit. But, and here is the catch what? For I told you that this exact ritual, depending on what else you drop into that juicer, might be quietly destroying your digestion and heavily taxing your kidneys.
It is a jarring concept to wrap your mind around, for sure.
Yeah.
Particularly because we are so deeply conditioned to view certain whole foods as just, unconditionally beneficial. You look at a raw vegetable and you inherently think vitality.
Right. It's a vegetable, it has to be good.
Yeah, exactly. But human biology, and particularly the biochemistry of an aging digestive system, it operates on a much more complex set of rules.
Okay, let's unpack this because our mission for today's deep dive is to explore some truly fascinating and honestly pretty surprising research from Dr. Emily Carter.
Yeah, her work is incredible.
It really is. She's a specialist with over 2 decades of experience focusing specifically on senior health and metabolic function. And today, we're going to decode exactly why mixing beet juice with the wrong everyday ingredients, especially, if you were over the age of 60, can completely cancel out its incredible cardiovascular benefits and actually cause silent cumulative harm inside your body.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to recognize the sheer potency of the ingredient we're dealing with. I mean, beets are incredibly powerful.
They really pack a punch.
They do. They contain active plant compounds that quite literally signal your blood vessels to dilate, dropping your blood pressure, while simultaneously delivering phytonutrients that heavily support the liver's detoxification pathways.
Which sounds amazing.
It is amazing. But chemical power requires a very specific biological environment to work safely. As the human body ages, particularly as we cross into our 60s, our internal environment shifts.
Right. Things just don't work exactly the way they used to.
Exactly. The baseline pH of our digestive tract changes, the protective mucosal lining of the stomach thins out, and our kidney filtration systems, they naturally lose some of their robust processing capacity.
So the hardware is changing.
Basically, yes. And because of these physiological shifts, the aging body becomes highly reactive to certain biochemical combinations.
Which means treating a glass of beet juice like it's just some casual, foolproof smoothie base where you can throw like whatever you want into the blender is a massive miscalculation.
A huge mistake.
It's like pouring high-octane aviation fuel into a vintage car engine without adjusting the timing or checking the seals. You wouldn't just dump a highly volatile active fuel into a delicate system and hope for a speed boost, right? You would expect a misfire.
That's a great way to put it.
Yet, that is exactly what millions of people are unknowingly doing in their kitchens every single morning.
The intention is always good, of course, but the chemistry is fundamentally mismatched. And the most common trap people fall into stems from a very basic human desire.
Which is?
Trying to fix the flavor.
Right, because let's be honest, raw beet juice has a very strong, aggressive, earthy taste. To a lot of people, it essentially tastes like sweet dirt.
Yes, sweet dirt is the perfect description.
So the natural human instinct is to try and brighten it up with something fresh, sharp, and acidic. Which brings us to our first major group of saboteurs, the acids.
The acids, yes. This is a big one.
Let's start with lemon, because it is so common to see someone squeeze an entire lemon into their beet juice, thinking they're activating some ultimate synergistic detox. Why does the biology reject this?
Well, it really comes down to sudden extreme shifts in gastric pH. Lemon juice is highly acidic. Right. And when that intense, concentrated acidity collides with the dense, raw, natural compounds of beetroot inside an aging digestive system, it creates an immediate biological shock.
A shock? Just from lemon?
Yeah. Remember that after 60, the protective mucosal lining of the stomach is often much thinner, and the stomach's baseline acid production is already fluctuating. So when you drop that massive localized acid load in all at once, you frequently trigger rapid acid reflux, a burning sensation in the lower esophagus, and acute nausea.
Oh, wow. And I bet people often brush this discomfort off, assuming their digestion is just, getting a bit sensitive with age.
Exactly. But your body is actually sounding an alarm about an aggressive chemical mismatch.
And beyond the physical discomfort, you're actively destroying the nutritional value of the drink.
Yeah.
Right? Because beetroot is famous for being packed with plant-based iron, concentrated nitrates, and these specific vibrant pigments called betalains.
Betalains, yes.
Right. And betalains are incredible phytonutrients that protect your cells from oxidative stress and help regenerate red blood cells. But my understanding is that these compounds are highly temperamental.
Highly temperamental is the perfect way to phrase it. Betalains and those specific dietary nitrates require a very stable, relatively neutral digestive environment to remain intact long enough to actually cross the intestinal barrier.
So when you add the acid,
When you flood the stomach with the citric acid from a lemon, you denature that environment. The acid literally alters the molecular structure of the betalains, rendering them useless, and it disrupts the delicate chemical receptors needed to absorb the iron.
so by trying to make it taste a little better with lemon, you're literally neutralizing the exact compounds that you bought the beets for in the first place.
You're throwing your money away, basically.
That is wild. Okay, that brings me to the second acidic mixer, which might be even more popular right now. Vinegar. Specifically, apple cider vinegar. I mean, it is the absolute holy grail of the internet wellness community right now, and people are mixing it into everything to promote gut health.
Yeah. And combining vinegar with raw beet juice is arguably one of the most destructive and physiologically taxing combinations you can consume.
Really?
Especially for an older adult. The acetic acid in vinegar is incredibly intense. When it meets the beetroot juice, it prematurely oxidizes a significant portion of the natural nitrates right there in your stomach, long before your body even has a chance to absorb them into the bloodstream.
Wow, so it essentially burns up the primary nutrient before it even reaches the starting line.
Exactly. But there is a secondary mechanism here involving electrolytes that seems genuinely dangerous, especially for anyone dealing with cardiovascular issues.
Dangerous how?
Well, there's a profound cardiovascular risk here.
Oh.
Beet juice, as a vasodilator, naturally lowers your blood pressure by relaxing the walls of your blood vessels.
Right, which is why people drink it.
Right. Vinegar, on the other hand, forces a physiological response where your kidneys excrete potassium to maintain blood pH balance.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah. When you alter that sodium-potassium balance, you impact how the heart regulates pressure. If you combine the vasodilating effect of the beet with the potassium-depleting effect of the vinegar in an older adult, or, someone who is already taking prescription blood pressure medication, you can trigger an unexpected acute drop in blood pressure.
Which causes what exactly?
The clinical result is sudden, profound dizziness, lightheadedness, and lethargy. You're also forcing the liver to constantly scramble to rebalance that extreme internal acidity, which is the exact opposite of a detox.
You're creating a metabolic crisis that the body has to spend energy solving.
Precisely.
Okay, let's look at the third and probably most common acidic mixer, orange juice. I mean, a beet and orange juice is a staple on almost every breakfast menu. But I need to push back logically on this one.
Go for it.
Practically since childhood, we've been taught that vitamin C is the ultimate partner for iron absorption. It binds to plant-based iron to make it more bioavailable. So why does that golden rule of nutrition suddenly backfire when we mix oranges and beets?
Well, what's fascinating here is the unseen competition happening at the cellular level. Yes, the iron absorption pathway loves vitamin C, but iron isn't the primary reason you drink beet juice.
It's the nitrates.
Exactly. The true superpower of the beet for your heart and your stamina lies in its nitrates. Your body takes those dietary nitrates and, through a very specific biological pathway, converts them into nitric oxide, which is that magic molecule that relaxes and opens up your blood vessels.
Okay, so where does the orange juice ruin things?
When you flood your digestive system with massive concentrated amounts of ascorbic acid from orange juice, that vitamin C acts as a powerful antioxidant that actually intercepts and reduces the nitrites, preventing them from completing that final chemical step into nitric oxide.
Ah, I see. So you might be successfully grabbing a tiny bit of plant iron, but you are completely sacrificing the nitric oxide conversion, which is the main cardiovascular benefit of the entire ritual.
You're trading the major benefit for a very minor one. Furthermore, there's a fundamental mismatch in how these two liquids need to be digested.
What do you mean?
To produce nitric oxide effectively, beet juice requires a relatively empty stomach to allow the specific enzymes in your saliva and stomach to do their conversion work uninterrupted.
Okay.
Orange juice, on the other hand, because of its high acidity, really requires the buffering presence of solid food to prevent stomach upset. On top of that, when you mix the high acidity of an orange with the dense, natural, earthy sugars of the beet, you create an environment ripe for rapid intestinal fermentation.
Which means gas.
Oh, yeah. In an older, slower digestive tract, that fermentation translates to almost instant severe bloating, trapped gas, and cramping.
So we can safely cross acidic additions off the list. No lemon, no vinegar, no orange.
None of them.
If I'm listening to this, my next logical thought is, all right, I'll go the opposite route. I will mask the earthy flavor with something sweet, or I'll blend it into a nice, rich, creamy protein smoothie to balance it out. But according to Dr. Carter's research, leaning into sugars or dairy is an even more severe metabolic mistake.
It really is. It creates a cascade of metabolic interference. Let's examine sweeteners first. And this includes natural options like organic honey or maple syrup.
So even the healthy sugars are a problem.
Absolutely. When you add a rapidly digesting sugar to a glass of beet juice, you trigger an immediate sharp spike in blood glucose. The pancreas responds by releasing a massive rush of insulin to clear that glucose.
Makes sense.
But that sudden, dramatic insulin spike actively inflames the endothelial cells, which are the cells lining your blood vessels, and that completely halts the production and function of nitric oxide.
Wow, so the insulin spike creates physical stiffness in the blood vessels, which literally puts the brakes on the exact relaxation effect beet juice is trying to create.
You lose all the circulation benefits instantly. And for someone over 60 who naturally experiences a gradual decline in insulin sensitivity anyway, you're creating a heavy, entirely unnecessary inflammatory burden.
It's just too much for the system.
Right. The liver is already working to process the betalins for detoxification. When you add a massive fructose or glucose hit, you create a metabolic traffic jam. The liver is forced to pivot from detoxifying to storing that excess sugar as fat. You've effectively turned a medicinal cardiovascular tonic into a metabolic stressor.
That makes perfect biological sense. Keep the extra sugar far away from it. But what about the creamy additions? People love adding milk, yogurt, or whey protein to create a filling morning smoothie.
Yeah, people love their smoothies. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the digestive conflict here is intensely physical. Beet juice, in its raw state, is naturally acidic. Dairy proteins, particularly the casein protein found in milk and yogurt, are highly reactive when introduced to acid.
Let me jump in with a visual for the listener, because I want you to picture exactly what is happening in your gut. Imagine you have a hot mug of milk and you pour a concentrated shot of pure lemon juice right into it. You get that instant repulsive separation, right?
Oh, it's awful.
The milk curdles, it clumps up and turns into these stringy solids. That exact chemical coagulation is happening inside your stomach when you mix raw beets and dairy proteins.
That analogy perfectly captures the internal environment. It creates this dense, heavy, fermented, curdled mass sitting directly in the digestive tract. And we have to factor in the aging process again here.
Right, the slower digestion.
Exactly. Declining stomach acid volume and a reduction in digestive enzymes are normal parts of aging after 60. The older stomach simply does not have the robust gastric output required to quickly break down and untangle this massive protein acid clump.
So it just sits there.
It just sits there.
Right.
Because the digestive process is essentially stalled, the nutrients become locked. You don't absorb the bone-building calcium from the milk, and you don't absorb the vital phytonutrients from the beet.
Talk about a lose-lose situation.
And it gets worse. Your gut bacteria begin to ferment the stalled mass, and your liver has to work incredibly hard to eventually clear out the messy, putrefying metabolic byproducts.
That just sounds incredibly exhausting for a body that is simply trying to start its day. Okay, so we've eliminated acids, we've eliminated sugars, and we've eliminated dairy. A listener right now is almost certainly thinking, fine, I will just stick strictly to vegetables. I will create the ultimate pure root and leaf green detox blend.
The classic green juice.
Right. But this is where Dr. Carter's deep dive into the biochemistry is most eye-opening. The most deceptive, quietly dangerous combinations are the exact recipes served at literally every commercial juice bar in the world. I'm talking about mixing beets with spinach and mixing beets with carrots.
This is perhaps the most critical area to understand today because we are talking about long-term, silent, cumulative damage. Let's look at spinach first. Both raw beet roots and raw spinach are extraordinarily high in a naturally occurring plant compound called oxalic acid, or oxalates.
And oxalates are essentially the plant's natural defense mechanism, right? They're molecular binders.
Correct. They are designed to deter pests by binding to minerals. In small, normal dietary amounts, your digestive system and kidneys process and excrete them without any issue.
Like if you just ate a normal salad.
Exactly. But when you run these vegetables through a juicer, you fundamentally change their physical structure. You strip away all the cellular fiber and concentrate those oxalates into a massive, rapidly absorbing liquid dose.
Because the fiber isn't there to slow it down.
Right. When you drink a beet and spinach juice, those concentrated oxalates bypass the normal slow digestive pacing and flood directly into your bloodstream and down to your kidneys. In the kidneys, they aggressively bind to calcium.
Which forms crystals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's such a high concentration all at once, the liquid in the renal tubules becomes supersaturated. Over weeks or months of a daily juicing habit, this silent binding forms calcium oxalate crystals.
Which is the medical term for kidney stones, like the most excruciatingly painful kind.
Yes. And the real danger is that you don't feel them forming. The supersaturation builds up silently over time. Furthermore, while that massive dose of oxalates is passing through your gut before it even reaches the kidneys, it acts as an anti-nutrient.
Meaning it steals nutrients from other foods.
Exactly. It grabs onto the dietary iron and calcium from your other meals and prevents your intestinal wall from absorbing them. So you're drinking this vibrant green juice thinking you're building strong bones and rich oxygenated blood, and the oxalates are actively causing mineral depletion and chronic fatigue.
Is wild. And what about carrots? Because beets, carrots, and maybe a little ginger is the classic quintessential juice bar combo. I see it everywhere.
Oh, it's everywhere. But juicing massive quantities of carrots and beets together creates a dual threat. You're concentrating both the oxalates and the natural root vegetable sugars of both plants.
Oh, right, the sugar.
Yeah. In their whole form, if you simply ate a carrot or a roasted beet, the dense plant fiber acts as a biological brake. It slows down gastric emptying and dictates exactly how fast those sugars and oxalates enter your bloodstream.
But in juice form.
Without that protective fiber matrix, it's a liquid assault on the system. For an older adult, this sudden influx causes a massive glucose spike, heavily straining blood sugar regulation, while simultaneously flooding the kidneys with a supersaturated wave of oxalates.
So what does this all mean? Are spinach and carrots suddenly the bad guys? Should we stop eating them entirely?
Absolutely not. The vegetables themselves are not the enemy. The mechanical compression of juicing is the enemy.
Oh.
It's the modern act of stripping away the plant's architecture that creates the danger. The human body, and specifically an aging kidney's delicate filtration system, was never evolutionarily designed to handle massive liquid doses of crystal-forming compounds and natural sugars, all in a single 5-minute window.
We just weren't built for it.
Exactly. When you consume these foods whole, the fiber matrix dictates the pace of absorption, keeping the internal chemistry safe and balanced.
Okay, well, this has been a rigorous teardown of almost every popular juicing habit out there. I mean, we've established that throwing in lemons destroys the nutrients, mixing in yogurt creates a digestive brick, and blending with spinach sets you up for kidney stones.
It sounds a bit bleak when you put it like that.
It does. So, if I'm a listener and I genuinely want to capture these amazing cardiovascular, liver, and stamina benefits safely, what does a functional, healthy routine actually look like?
Well, it requires a shift toward restraint and a deep respect for the potency of the ingredient itself. Dr. Carter's framework for drinking beet juice safely centers on working with your body's chemistry rather than overwhelming it.
Okay, so what is rule number 1?
The foundational principle is respecting the biological dose. More is absolutely not better here. The human body has a strict threshold for how much dietary nitrate it can actually convert into nitric oxide at one time. A single medium-sized beet, which yields roughly 100 to 120 milliliters of juice, is all your body needs to trigger the maximum cardiovascular benefits.
Wait, really? Just 100 to 120 milliliters?
Yes.
That's a very small amount. That's basically just a large shot glass of juice.
It is a small volume, but consuming any more than that volume doesn't give you lower blood pressure. It just overloads your renal system with excess oxalates for zero additional gain. But, and this is crucial, you cannot drink it like a shot.
Why not?
Because nitric oxide rapidly dilates your blood vessels, a sudden concentrated flood of the juice can shock the cardiovascular system, causing that uncomfortable pressure drop we discussed earlier. You need to treat this small glass of juice the way you would treat a fine, complex espresso.
So you sip it slowly.
You sip it slowly over 10 or 15 minutes. This gradual intake gives your circulatory system time to adapt to the dilation smoothly.
That makes a lot of sense. You sip it slowly, you respect the potency, and you don't dilute it with a dozen artificial flavors.
But what if a listener absolutely cannot stomach the pure, earthy taste? If we can't use acid or sugar, how do we make it palatable?
You utilize water-rich, chemically neutral vegetables. A large chunk of cucumber or a thick stalk of celery are perfect additions.
Oh, that sounds refreshing.
They are. They provide a massive infusion of neutral hydration and a very slight hint of structural fiber to the juice. This softens the intense earthy flavor without disrupting the delicate pH balance or the nitrate conversion pathways.
And the environment inside the stomach when you drink this matters just as much as what goes into the glass, right?
Precisely. Timing is critical. You must consume this on a light or completely empty stomach, ideally first thing in the morning or perhaps 30 minutes before a midday meal.
Why empty? You need a clean, uninterrupted digestive environment to allow the enzymes in your saliva and stomach to maximize the conversion of nitrates into nitric oxide. If you drink it immediately after a heavy breakfast, the delicate active compounds simply get lost in the digestive traffic jam and degrade before they can be utilized.
Which brings up the issue of freshness. A lot of people love to meal prep. They want to juice 5 pounds of beets on Sunday night and keep the jars in the fridge all week.
Oh, that is entirely counterproductive. Beet juice oxidizes incredibly fast once the cellular walls of the plant are broken. Within minutes of juicing, exposure to air and light begins to degrade the nitrates into useless compounds.
So making it ahead of time is useless.
Completely. If you leave it in the fridge overnight, or if you rely on pasteurized, pre-made bottles from the grocery store, the medicinal potency is largely gone, and the natural sugars have begun to slowly ferment. You must drink it fresh, within 15 minutes of running it through the juicer.
Good to know.
And finally, you must cycle your intake. Do not drink beet juice every single day.
Give the system a break.
Exactly. 3 to 4 times a week is the maximum recommended frequency. You have to give your liver a rest from processing the heavy betalain pigments, and you must give your kidneys a clearance window to flush out any residual oxalates before they can begin to crystallize.
This entire framework, the small doses, the slow sipping, the days off, it really changes how you look at wellness routines.
It does. And this raises an important question about how we fundamentally view healthy aging in modern society.
How so?
Well, so often the prevailing narrative is that as we get older, our bodies are simply failing, and we need to fight back by hitting our systems harder with extreme aggressive detoxes and massive concentrated superfood interventions.
Right, like we have to force our bodies into submission.
Exactly. But aging gracefully isn't about treating a weak body with overwhelming force. It's about shifting to smarter, more elegant care. It's about deeply understanding and working in harmony with your body's naturally changing chemistry rather than constantly forcing it to adapt to chemical extremes.
That is such a powerful and grounding reframe.
Yeah.
To bring all of this together for you listening, beet juice is a brilliant, functional medicinal tonic. It is not a dessert, it's not a casual hydration beverage to chug after a walk, and it is definitively not a smoothie base for your kitchen experiments.
Definitely not.
By keeping it incredibly simple, pure, small doses, sipped slowly on an empty stomach, and by respecting your body's changing boundaries, you can actually unlock all of that incredible vitality. You get the improved circulation, the sustained cellular energy, and the liver support, entirely without triggering any of the hidden risks.
It requires a genuine shift in perspective. And Dr. Carter's research leaves us with something much deeper to consider beyond just beet juice. Her work vividly illustrates how removing a plant's natural fiber matrix through the mechanical act of juicing fundamentally alters how our biology processes its compounds. It's literally turning safe, naturally occurring elements like oxalates and sugars into potential systemic hazards. It makes you wonder what other heavily marketed, popular, healthy liquid supplements or daily juices are we eagerly drinking every single morning that might be quietly overwhelming our internal systems simply because we decided we knew better than biology and stripped away the protective packaging that nature specifically designed for them.
That is exactly the kind of thought that is going to stay with me the next time I look at my juicer sitting on the counter. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into the biochemistry of our daily habits. Stay curious, always treat your health and your routines with intention, and we will catch you next time.